Welcome, listeners, to episode 43 of the Running Guy podcast, where I aim to provide informative content and interviews with elite athletes and health professionals from around the world, like in today's episode, where I'm chatting to a Canberra runner who's just ran a personal best up on the Gold Coast in the marathon distance, who also performs at the elite level in the discipline of trail and mountain running. Welcome to the Running Guy podcast, Michael Daly. How you going, Mike?
Thank you. Very good, thanks.
Fantastic. It's good to have you on, mate. It's good to have another Canberra runner on the pod. Mate, congrats. Marathon PB up on the Goldie last Sunday, 2:27:33.
Yep, thank you very much. It's been a long time coming. Been 5 years since I lowered that, so quite happy with that.
Yeah. It adds a bit more worth to all the training you would have done in prep for the race.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mate, 5 days post-event, what are your thoughts on your performance now you've sort of had time to digest that race?
Well, I was going into the race, I was thinking maybe even 2:24 was possible, but that would have been the absolute best. So I feel I still have another minute or still probably had another minute or two in me.
Okay.
Still 3-minute PB is nothing to be sneezed at. So
yeah, certainly.
Quite happy with that.
Lisa Waitman, obviously a fantastic run, 2:25:55, finishing second female there. So she obviously just finished up the road from you. Just sort of interested, did you guys sort of spend too much time running together? I mean, she's in Team Telford like yourself. Was there any sort of team strategies, or were you actually running together during the race, or did you guys end up having a finish around the same time, or how'd that one work?
Yeah, well, after Sydney 10, Sydney 10 was the first time I actually met her in person.
Okay, yep.
And we started chatting a little bit after that. We worked out we would have been going for pretty similar marathon times because we finished pretty close together at Sydney 10. So, yeah, we decided we would try and go at the same pace. And she actually organised a pacer, or ended up the great Michael Shelley to pace us as well. And so I just hung on to them for as long as I could, and I think it was about 22k. I just started dropping off. That was quite an experience to be able to run with two legends of our sport.
Yeah, definitely. I want to sort of break down the race a little bit further into our chat. Yeah, Sydney 10, that's where Lisa ran that 31:20, the fastest 10k on Aussie soil.
Yeah, absolutely sensational.
Yeah, 3 seconds off Benita's national record of 31:17. So we might as well mention it now. So you ran your PB there, as you said, 31:15. So yeah, clearly finishing 10k together, it sounded like a good strategy. I know Dick is a big fan on 10k fitness. He probably thought that was possible as well. How much guidance or training were you actually doing with Dick leading into the marathon?
Not directly with the group, because most of the group is kind of made up of 1,500 or 5k type runners. So
okay, yep.
When I was doing my longer stuff, I did a lot of that on my own, and it was actually pretty much the same as what Lisa was getting as well. So I was quite lonely training on my own sometimes, but I think it builds a bit of mental toughness to be able to keep on your paces without having anyone to hang on to.
Work as a chippy, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Actually, only just got home. So.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking. So how do you work for yourself?
No, I work for a company doing commercial carpentry.
Okay. So how did you sort of manage that with the amount of work you would have been putting in for your marathon training?
Well, I guess it's just like anything really. If it's important enough to you, find a way. So I do my doubles. I usually get up somewhere around 4 o'clock in the morning, and usually get a short run in before work, 8 to 10k, or maybe even up to 16 sometimes, and then do the main session or main run in the afternoon.
Well, if Liam does it, he's, everyone can do it, eh? No,
yeah,
that's good, because
right.
I was having a look on Australia. You've already ran 4,000 Ks this year, and then I thought, the guy's working full time. It's, again, there are people doing it, but it is an amazing effort. I mean, majority of us try to run with that sort of load. We just want to be falling asleep at 1 o'clock, and I'm sure maybe you are looking for a pillow at 2 o'clock during the day as well, but... Yeah, it's pretty hard. I mean, clearly when you're working full time, especially, labour intensive work and running up to 180 Ks a week that I saw you doing leading in, consistently, it must be just so important to get all those little things right to make sure you're recovering.
Yeah, definitely. All the 1%ers try and eat as well as I can, see a physio fairly regularly, and massages and everything like that.
I was having a look at your marathons. The first Canberra marathon was like 8 years ago. It'll make the listeners feel good that it was a 250, but then a year later you've gone 241, and then a year later you've gone 234. So you're improving fast there. So like 234, and that was 6 years ago.
Yeah,
and that was just off the podium in fourth spot there. So you've been doing them for quite a while. I was just wondering, 234 that long ago, and then you could say back in Tokyo, 3rd of March 2019, you ran 2:30:58, and that's amazing. At 2:30:58 in Tokyo, you get 164th position. It's
Yeah.
just insane, isn't it? That's just scary. A lot of places you can finish in the top three, but yeah, I'm sort of leading into the fact that you've obviously done, and you have done, I should say, rather than obviously, for listeners don't know, done a lot of work on the trails and running up mountains, which is, what happens when you live in Canberra, because that's what we're surrounded by.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking, with that progression down to a 227 now over that, call it a long time period, were you sort of focusing on trying to do everything, or was there times where you were just focusing on the track, or trying to get better at mountain running, or I'm just trying to find out how you sort of navigated through all that.
Yeah, well, the marathon was always the number one distance, number one event.
Okay.
When I came back to running.
So when you say came back, what does that mean?
Okay, yeah. So I was a runner as a teenager, and I stopped it for various reasons at about 19, 20 or
Okay.
so.
Yep. As a track
And
runner, or?
yeah, 800, 1500, and
Right.
usual cross country and
Okay.
everything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Was that?
Um,
Sorry, are you a Canberra boy? Did you grow up here, or?
yeah, born and bred.
Okay. Yep.
So yeah, I did all those. Made it to a few national cross countries, and then I gave it up for a little while, probably maybe early 20s.
Yep.
Took it back up in 2012 as a 26-year-old. And I ran the Melbourne half marathon that year, and the idea was to always run the marathon the year after as my debut. So for a while there, I was mostly focusing on the marathon. Originally, I was just training myself, and then I joined Telford squad.
Okay.
Yeah, and then for a little while there, I started doing some trails and even a couple of ultras. So I kind of didn't get to run too many road marathons in that time, but I was always intending on going back to focusing on the marathon. But I actually believe the trails and ultras probably helped the marathon in a way.
Yep. Certainly. You're fairly stocky as a runner. You're solid through the legs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you when you were running on the track as a kid, did you always have that solid build, or is that something you sort of built up over the years, or?
No, I've always had a pretty solid build, very chunky thighs. Definitely got that from my dad. He was a rugby league player, and
Okay. Yep.
yeah, he always had the chunky thighs. So I guess I got that from him.
Yeah. Well, certainly, obviously, there's a lot of power involved in there as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, so do you still do a lot of your running around the trails and try to hit a lot of elevation, like a lot of runners do when they live in Canberra?
Yeah, usually in not when it's marathon specific training time, but when it's during my base building time, I like to get out into the mountains. Thanks mostly to Sam Burridge. He's taken me out there a fair bit. Living in Canberra, as you said, we're surrounded by mountains, beautiful trails, lots of great places to run. So you're crazy if you don't take advantage of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bit of clean air. As you know, we can get up to nearly 6,000 feet pretty easily up there in Gingera and Giannini and up in the Brindabella. So, as you said, yeah, Sam loves venturing up that way. And Mount Tennant, obviously, you would have been up there a few times. Australian Mountain Running Championships, spent a lot of time running up there. It's definitely a great place to run. And majority of the time, you're out there on your own, just with some kangaroos running around.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty good. And and what Dick spends a lot of time down there on the grass track there at Stromlo Park. So yeah, it's brilliant facilities that we have.
Yeah, absolutely.
In 18, you were pretty successful there, 6-foot track. Have you only done that once?
Done that twice, as
Okay.
well as UTA twice. So I think both races I had one good one and one bad one.
Yep. So 2018 6-foot track, 3 hours 33. That's motoring. So finishing 5th overall.
Yeah, it was probably one of the fittest stages of my career then.
Yeah, that was good. Who picked up the chocolate that year? Was that Tom's year, or?
No, that was Vlad.
Oh, Vlad. Yeah, okay. So what was the winning time there?
Pretty quick, about 3:18 that year. He's also
okay.
run a 3:15. So
yeah, rightio. And what UTA? That's the 50.
Yeah, 50, and that was kind of an afterthought after I ran pretty well at 6 foot 2 weeks out.
Yep.
So I had quite a good training in the legs, but I didn't do too much elevation until probably 4 weeks out from UTA, and definitely no stair training. So it was quite eye opening.
Yeah. So you hadn't been on the course, you had no idea what was coming.
Yeah, I had plenty of idea. I knew there was plenty of stairs and there's lots of steep climbs and descents as well.
Yep.
But it's just one thing knowing about it and another thing actually running it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that was quite a good experience. And
so Sam Burridge got the chocolates that year, but did you finish just behind him or?
Yeah.
I think he passed you just pretty much final, only a couple of Ks to go, didn't he? Or?
Yeah, so I ended up in the lead from the start really, and I didn't see anyone at all. Ended up running most of it on my own until about 47k or so. Just as I started to think, oh, maybe I can hold on and win this. Yeah, Sam coming up, and at the time I was completely gone, so I couldn't go with him, and he ended up putting 6 minutes into me in the last 3k. So.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But he was finishing really strong that year, and
Yep.
I was kind of just holding on.
Yep, sure. And what happened in 19? You said you did it twice. Was that the good year, getting second, I hope?
Yes.
Yeah. So what happened the following year?
I was coming off Tokyo Marathon, so
where you ran your 2:30, yeah.
Yeah, that was about 2 months before. I had a little ITV niggle, so that put me out for I missed a few sessions here and there. So I think the fitness dropped a fair bit between the marathon and UTA. And yeah, I think the fitness was just not there. So I was struggling early on, and it was okay. I still finished under 5 hours, and I think I was about 15th. Yeah, compared to the year before, it wasn't as strong. And I think maybe the recovery from a road marathon is a lot harder than, say, recovering from 6 foot track. So that probably played a part as well.
So the focus is still on the road marathon. You mentioned you think you got a couple of minutes up your sleeve. So do you think you'll continue to just do these trial runs and that just for training and fitness? Or do you think you're going to say maybe I'll just do less of that and just really focus on nailing that next marathon?
Yeah, I'd like to keep going on the trails because it's good for strength, good for injury prevention to not always be slamming on the roads or the track. But yeah, the main focus will be the road marathon for now.
What sort of percentage do you reckon you spend on the road when you're training in a marathon block? Do you spend a lot of time on the road even though we've got all the trails to run on, or?
Yeah, so on a normal week I'd get my Tuesday, Thursday session and a Sunday long run, which is basically a session as well. So those 3 main sessions will be on the paths or the roads, and then I try and get a fair amount of my easy runs done on the trails.
Yep.
Yeah, so all the quality stuff is done on the paths.
How's the body been absorbing all the training? Like, have you had any sort of major issues with injuries over the years, or were you sort of being a bit, I don't know, I could be completely wrong, but you're just so solid from the hips down, you just assume possibly that means it absorbed the load a little bit more. Sam always reckons, mountain runners are a bit more resilient with all that pounding on the roads. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I've only really had the one injury that was back in 2019, and before that there was one as a teenager. And yeah, probably running the mountains would definitely help with the strength and the injury prevention as well.
A lot more lateral movement through the foot, and you're always constantly bounding or jumping or twisting, and yeah, I think it's fantastic. With you talk about your Sunday run being a session as well. You generally doing the standard long Sunday run with marathon specific work in it? If so, how does that sort of look?
Yeah, so it'd usually be about 30 to 35k, and there'd be a section in there at about somewhere between 10 to 15, 16k kind of marathon target pace.
Just as a straight 10, like 15 or 16, do you sometimes break it up into 4 3s or 4 4s or 4 5s or anything like that, or you'd rather just run it straight as marathon pace?
Yeah, you usually try to get straight out.
Yep.
10 to 15k in the one go. The longer reps are probably more for Thursdays, so like a 3x5k, or I did a 2x8k actually as one of them.
So when you're doing 2x8s, like on a Tuesday or Thursday session, you're running them 10 seconds faster than marathon pace, or is it always around that marathon pace?
Yeah, I was doing them around the target marathon pace, so that was, we were looking at 3:24 pace, and I was mostly nailing those sessions.
As the weeks were ticking over, you're getting close to the Goldie. Was that starting to feel a bit more comfortable, or is that sort of it still feels tough, and you sort of start to go, oh, this is how am I going to do this for 42 type mentality?
Sometimes it was definitely a grind, and it was it was a bit harder, a bit more hard work because I was doing it on my own, and we had a lot of windy days there, and I'm trying to do it around the lake where you can't really escape the wind.
You can't get anyone on a pushy helping you out just to give you company, or?
I did have someone jumped in for one of my 15k tempos on a Sunday for a little bit. Yeah, that was probably the best session. That was 2 weeks out. 15k was pretty good.
Yeah, you got to find people that can run 320s.
Yeah.
Rogues gets around a fair bit. Do you ever jump in with him, or see him down the lake a fair bit?
Not lately, but I used to. But probably should actually. He's quite the athlete though, so
he's moving pretty well. Yeah. Did he race Goldie? I probably should know, but I saw him a week out. No. Okay. Yeah, he's looking fit about a week out. I thought maybe he's prepping for that. I was just thinking, when you're doing your Sunday runs and your other runs, you're sponsored by Hammer. I think you've been with them for quite a long time, haven't you? Hammer Nutrition?
Yeah, since 2018.
2018, yep, okay.
So after I had a good couple of races, I applied for the every year they ask for people to be ambassadors.
Sure.
So I applied that year and they accepted. So
what do you like about that product compared to others?
Well, the gels aren't the really, really sweet stuff.
Okay.
So I like how I like the gels. Especially there's a hazelnut chocolate flavor. It tastes like Nutella. It's great.
Yeah. I think that's the one I've actually tried. Yeah, it does taste exactly like Nutella.
Yeah, so good. I had a couple of them in the marathon. It was great.
Yeah. You feel like you've snuck out into the kitchen as a kid and got a chocolate cookie out of the jar. Yeah. I always feel like I'm being bad when I have one of them. It's like, really? Do they have liquid drinks as well?
Yeah, they have. It's called Fizz. It's a tablet.
Okay, like an electrolyte drink.
Yeah. I use them for my personal drinks. Goldie as well.
Okay, so it still has some carbs in it, or it's just for electrolytes?
I think it has carbs in it as well. As well, and electrolytes. Yeah,
it's pretty funny. You've been a carpenter and you're sponsored by Hammer Nutrition, mate. I'm sure you've heard that before. The old carpenter.
No one's ever said that before.
Oh, really?
It was pretty cool.
No, I saw that and I thought, that's interesting. Someone else out there will be as silly as me, but I actually have to think, what is the difference between a carpenter and a builder? And is a builder a chippy, and is a carpenter a chippy? So you can correct me if I'm wrong. Apparently, this is Mr. Google, and they're never wrong. So apparently, yes, a carpenter is a chippy. Now, I always been calling, if someone said they're a builder, I just assume they're a chippy, but maybe not. It looks like they're just carpenters. And then the difference between a carpenter and a builder is like a builder is sort of like the foreman. He sort of runs the show. He gets all the contractors in. He's sort of overseeing the whole job. And obviously he's got to be licensed by that. Whereas you may actually work for a builder and you come in and do all the timber work or cabinetry or whatever. Is there something like, is carpenter quite a broad term and you could do lots of things being called a carpenter?
Yeah, absolutely. Whereas your electricians, they just do the electricity, and plumbers just do all the plumbing stuff. Carpenters do a lot. We do all the framing, install doors. We can do skirting, architraves, and even install kitchens. Even though it's kind of more of a joiner, but we do a lot.
Yeah. And did you ever think about being a builder or not?
Yeah, I do. I can do that, but at the moment it kind of takes up a lot of time, and I still want to. It would take up a lot of time, and
a couple of years of studying to get your license and all that, or.
Yeah, I think it's 2 years to get your certificate, and then there's a few other things you have to do. I haven't really looked into it too much, but.
Yeah. So is that what you did when you left school? You went and got your trade, or?
I started a little bit later than most people. I didn't go straight out of school, but had a few odd jobs here and there until I worked out I wanted to be a carpenter, and started my apprenticeship age 20.
Clarify, a chippy is just a carpenter.
Yes.
There we go. Now I know.
Right.
Stop calling builders chippies. And I assume it's because you guys are chipping up wood and there's chips coming off. Is it that simple?
I don't know where where that name originated. Not sure.
That's the only thing I can think of. Is just like wood chips, chippy. It's maybe not, unless you guys sit around eating chips all day. I don't know. Anyway,
A lot of them do. Yeah.
yeah, that's it. All right, mate. What's next on the racing calendar then? Obviously, well, first of all, how you pulled up after the Goldie?
A lot better than I usually do after a road marathon. I mean, even though it's been 3 years since I've done one, had a full crack at one, but yeah, pretty well. General tiredness and soreness to be
Yep.
expected.
Yep. You running in like a super shoe with a plate in it, or?
Yeah, I used the Alpha Flyers
Okay.
this time.
Yep. You've used a Vapor before that, or?
Yeah, I've used the Vapor Flyers for
Yep.
a couple of 10Ks and half marathons.
Yep.
So
Yep. And the Alpha was I haven't given them a go. Apparently, it's pretty individual whether you're going to like them or not. But obviously, you found them pretty good.
yeah, I wasn't sure about them to begin with, so I only decided late that I was gonna wear them for the marathon.
Mm.
I just liked you had some strides, did some strides in them on the Friday before, and they felt really good.
Mm.
So yeah, I think the little bit extra cushioning is probably makes them really good shoe for a marathon.
Okay. But do you like the road feel? Did it feel different running in it compared to the Vaporfly? Or was it a bit hard to tell, or is there anything significant? And you just go, yeah, they're just you're in an Alpha when you're wearing them.
Yeah, definitely. You can tell the difference. I mean, they're a little bit heavier, but they're more kind of more cushion than the Vapors.
So
yeah.
when you hit the ground, like, you feel like you're sort of soaking into it a little bit more, or does it feel like it's giving you a bit more back, or?
I think it gives you a bit more back. They feel a little bit bouncier.
Yeah, do you feel that it puts you into that really nice rolling toe position quickly, like like the Vapors do, or?
Yeah, pretty similar
Yeah,
in that regard. But
yeah, I might have to try it. But I mean, I'm in love with the Vapors. It's just I feel like I'm cheating every time I put them on, but everyone else is wearing them, so it's all even.
yeah, exactly.
All right, mate. Let's go back to the marathon. Now you said when we were speaking in the intro that you sort of ran there with Lisa, and you had Michael Shelley, the great Michael Shelley, acting as pacer for you guys. You mentioned you sort of hung around for about 22k, I guess, before the elastic band started to break. Pace that you're running with those guys, was it quicker? I'm just wondering why the 22k you start to sort of feel it.
I'm not sure. Maybe I haven't run marathon at that pace before. Maybe that.
So you were running as planned. They weren't running a bit quicker per k or anything like that.
No, probably a little bit early on. We might have been going a little bit quick because we had a good group of about probably 10 in total, and then I think about 10k. Actually, Lisa missed one of her personal drinks, so she kind of backtracked a little bit to get that. So, and then I ended up just dropping back with Michael to keep her company, which also suited me as well. Because I think I was finding the pace a little bit hot just early, but
Okay. Yep.
yeah, I don't know really.
The female that won it, was she ever? Were those guys ever running together? Was she always out the front, or?
No, she was in a group just a little bit ahead of us.
Okay.
So
In sight?
yeah, she was early on,
Okay.
but I think she might have caught a break.
Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, missing a bottle and having to go back and get it. It's just a nightmare having to do that, and you've got to keep your anxiety levels down because you feel you've got to chase up and catch up the time.
Yeah, I actually did the same thing in one of my personal drinks. I think at 25, around about the 25k mark.
Yeah. Okay.
I missed it. No, I think I really needed it at the time, so I did go back and grab it.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's a tough call, that one, for sure. All right. So 22k. What, the legs just started to get a bit heavy, or you actually made a decision? Look, I don't think I can hold this. Let's just back it off now before it gets worse, or what was going on?
Yeah, they just started to get a little bit heavy, and it's probably a little bit of both actually. I dropped off just a little bit, and then it just they gradually got away from me. So it was more or less I just decided to try and stay strong rather than staying on the pace we were at and then having a bigger blow up later.
So the pace you were doing when you were running with them for the first 22k, and what did your pace drop to once you're on your own?
So we're probably at about 325, 26 or so pace. So we went through 5k around 17:10. 10k was the next 5k. I think was a little bit quicker, and halfway was 72:36 actually. So ended up with about a bit over 2 minute positive split.
Okay.
But I wouldn't think it was. Last k for the whole day was 3:41. So wasn't as though I had a gigantic blow up or anything like that.
Yeah. I think you said you had a bit of a dark patch, 20 to 25k, and then you sort of came good towards the end.
Yeah, so not long after I dropped off, Lisa and Michael started to struggle a bit, and I thought it was going to be a big blow up. I just tried to, and also that was a pretty lonely part of the course. It wasn't raining with anyone, and there was probably the only section of the course there was no support. So it was quite lonely for a little bit until probably close to 30k coming back onto the main road there.
Yep.
And we started to come back to the crowd.
Back over the bridge. Yeah, so yeah, 2 minutes is not too bad, yeah. Any nutrition help get you up?
Yeah, the nutrition probably helped. I had my 3 gels, hammer gels, and some of the electrolytes as well.
What were the conditions like? I didn't really get an accurate report on it because obviously they were forecasting rain all week and everyone was worried, but I think there was rain on the Saturday during the half.
Yeah, there was a fair bit of rain on the Saturday.
Yep.
Most of it dried the roads up the time of the Sunday, and it was a lot better than the forecast was saying.
Okay.
Early in the week, ended up being cool, overcast, not really any wind to speak of, and
okay.
the only rain came about 8:15, probably right near the end of the marathon.
So 2:27. What position did that get you in again?
24.
24. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's not too bad. Well done, mate.
Thank you.
Won't be long before you drop that down for sure.
Yeah, hopefully.
Canberra went into lockdown last August. It dragged out till about October. Were you sort of affected by that in any way?
Not as badly as others. We ended up having 3 weeks in lockdown, and we came back early September, so it wasn't quite as bad as everyone else. And training-wise, since I lived in Queanbeyan at the time, I wasn't restricted by the 1 hour exercise rule, so that was nice to be able to get out.
Yeah, look, it sucked for many reasons, but there was one shiny thing about it was quiet. It was just so nice. There was no one around, so I did enjoy that. But yeah, okay. So employment wasn't affected much. So just 3 weeks locked down. And what were you doing for training and racing at that time?
Since there wasn't any races on, I snuck one in just before lockdown. Local Bush Capital Marathon.
Okay. Yep.
Had a good hit out there.
Yep. Right. Yeah. And you sort of survived the whole COVID thing. Fine. No worries.
Not until after we came back from lockdown. I caught it in early November.
Okay.
It was probably it was part of the first Delta wave after lockdown.
All right.
A few guys at work got it. There was actually about 10 or 11 of us that got it at the same time.
Did it knock you around badly, or?
Thankfully, I was one of the lucky ones. I didn't get it too badly. I just had a bit of a sniffle to start with, then just a little cough and maybe a little bit tired. But I was still able to run a bit during lockdown. I was able to get a treadmill delivered to my house, but I dropped outside and dragged it up the stairs and set that up, and I was able to get a few runs in.
Yeah, okay, right, yeah.
While I was locked inside.
Okay, what, you bought one or you hired one?
No, I bought one.
Yep.
I went on to Jim Quip.
Yep, okay,
and I delivered it within 24 hours.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, I bet they were busy that time of year delivering stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, buying any fitness equipment was a nightmare. You walk into Kmart and whatever, and they didn't have one dumbbell or kettlebell or... Yeah, it's amazing. There must be a lot of stuff on Gumtree for sale at the moment.
Yeah,
mate. There's a lot of Instagram pics around with you with dogs, mate. It looks like you're a lover of dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. Grew up with dogs and have had a few in my time.
Yeah. Do they get to come to the job sites or they got to stay at home?
No, I wish I could take them. It's kind of a part-time arrangement actually with my ex. I sometimes get to look after the dogs. So yeah, I can't take them to site. That's probably why I don't have them with me at the moment.
Yeah. Maybe if you back off the run and get a builder and get the ute and chuck the dogs in the back and they just drive around all day with you.
Yeah, that's an idea actually.
What about running trails? Do you take them out for a run or?
Yeah, they're quite good. Got a little beagle who's only like really small, 10 kilo dog, but she loves it. Take her out for about 5 or 6k. I'll actually take her to park run tomorrow and see how she goes. I can almost get her under 20 minutes, I reckon.
Yeah, right. Which one are you going to do?
Probably Burley Griffins.
Okay. Yeah.
find that the quickest.
I'll see you there. I'm going to go down. I normally work 8 o'clock Saturday mornings up till lunchtime, but I've got a client away, so I'm taking advantage. I'll head down there. It's going to be
Oh, cool.
a frosty start. I'm just
Oh, is it? Haven't
yeah,
checked
yeah.
the weather.
I was hoping this wind dies down. It's meant to die down overnight. It's blowing pretty hard, as you know. It's like you said, you're doing some of those runs around the lake, and it was like 40k winds, and yeah, it makes it a bit tough.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to keep a consistent pace.
Oh, it'd just be a killer.
Yes.
I sort of always look at the wind direction. I can sort of, and as you probably do, you can sort of work out which are the better ways to go and whether you're going to have the head or the tailwind. And
Yeah, it's a bit hard to kind of time it to work out. I always seem to end up doing my last reps into the wind,
yeah, yeah,
which makes them even slower when you're the most fatigued. But
yeah, for sure.
as long as the effort's there, you're getting the right sort of training in.
I don't think we got around to answering what you got coming up next.
Yeah, so I think provided I keep recovering pretty well, I think I'll back up and run Melbourne.
Okay, yep.
So it'll be, I think that's the 2nd of October.
So yeah, that's 12 weeks from Sunday. Yeah, rightio. So what you just slowly rebuild back up for that again? Like,
Yeah, I think
as far
so.
as your Ks go, like you're going to say, look, I just need to, take it easy for a few weeks and slowly build back up. And do you you think you might try to hit the mileage or hitting like the 180 weeks, or are you going to think all the strength and conditioning you just got off a Goldie, you're probably not going to have to put in as much effort. I mean, I wouldn't say
Yeah,
as much effort, but not as much, focus on the big volume
yeah, I'm not too sure. I haven't done such a short turnaround
turnaround.
before.
Yeah.
I usually do like 6 months, so
Yep. Yep.
that's
Sure.
usually time enough to have a recovery and
Yeah.
then
Yep.
proper base build. But I guess with all the training in me, it'll probably just carry over as long as I can recover well and I keep doing something to keep a
Yeah.
decent level of fitness.
Yeah, it's sort of exciting and interesting to see actually. I mean, if it was me, and I'm sure you're thinking the same, to see actually how you do go with that short turnaround. I mean, 12 weeks is probably minimum, really, isn't it? I mean, I know some guys just turn around really, really quickly, but if you really want to perform and go a bit quicker, I think 12 weeks would have to be the minimum.
Yeah, I'm thinking of I might do a bit more cross training in the next couple of weeks while I'm not running a hell of a lot,
Yep.
just to keep the aerobic fitness up until I can get back into full training.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Would you try and find like a group down there to run with? I mean, Melbourne around that, let's just say you're aiming for 24, 25, there'd be a reasonable sort of group of people around that time, wouldn't there? And as we know, that the top women are running around that time as well. I mean, they'll probably be busy. October, Com Games, a lot of them, but they're not all going to be at Com Games. So yeah, it's not a bad little time. There should be a decent group around that time, do you think?
Yeah, I'd hope so. I run Melbourne before, and I did 2:33, and I had a good group. Not too sure, but if I end up on my own, I'll be fine with that. I do a lot of my long runs on my own, so.
So you've only done Melbourne once before?
I've done Melbourne twice. So
Yeah.
that was my first one in 2013, and then came back 2015.
Okay, yeah, right. Tell me about 2013 because IAAF are only showing 2014 in Canberra. So what time did you do?
Okay, yeah, I did 2:52.
Okay, there you go. Yep.
Yeah, so that was my
That's good because
my very first one.
you still got quicker just about every time you've ran, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Because what Gold?
I
Yeah, so 2017 up on the Goldie. This is the comparison actually. Up on the Goldie, you ran 2:30.24 in 2017 and finished 26 in Tokyo. You pretty much ran only like 10 or 15 seconds difference, and the difference in positions is from 164th position to 26. So yeah.
During Tokyo, strangely enough, even though there was a lot of runners around, I ended up spending a lot of that on my own.
Yeah, okay, right, yeah. Did you love Tokyo?
Yeah.
I can imagine, I mean, the Japanese love their marathon running. I could imagine the atmosphere and the organisation and, it must be fantastic running there. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was fantastic. The streets are just lined with people, even though it was raining on the day.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, really well organised.
Yep. Any of the other Aussie elites run that year or?
I remember Dion ran that year. I was seeing him right at the start line. Actually, I started right next to him.
Okay.
I'd never met him before in person, but then.
Can you remember how he ran that year?
He ran pretty well. I think he ran a 2:21 or something like that.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And since then he's gone under 2:20. So.
Yep. Yep.
It was quite cool to see him there.
Yeah, fantastic. That's one you have to run a certain time to qualify for. They're pretty hard to get into, aren't they?
Yeah, they had a sub elite category. I think it was a new thing that year. Where within a time range, I think it was 225 to 245 maybe.
Okay, yeah.
If you run one of those, you could apply for the sub elite category. I think it was just the international.
Yeah.
And there was about a quota of about 1,500 or something.
Okay. Yep. And was
So
it what the 230 on the Goldie get you in, or did you run something else to get you in for that one?
I was able to use the Gold Coast one.
Yep.
Yeah, that was quite an experience to get a world major in, and then got another one later in the year.
Yep.
At Chicago.
How'd that one go?
Well, that was when I got injured about 3 months out, so that was basically just to finish.
Yeah, okay.
So I think for the 3 months beforehand, my longest run was about 14k. So there wasn't any fitness in the legs, and
you'd already paid for it, and you're going over, so you just went anyway. Is that right, or?
Yeah, if it was anyone in Australia, I would have pulled out. But
so what was the injury?
So it started with a left glute problem and everything else around it. Basically, for a long time, I wasn't. My form was a little bit off, so it just loaded up the glute med and everything else around it, and just
because you were sort of compensating and loading everything else up, trying to run through it.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, the physio got me right and sorted out my form, so we don't go back to those injury days.
Yep. Were you doing much strength work? Like, let's just say that the recent block for Goldie, or are you just focusing on the running? Were you doing any strength and conditioning or anything in the gym, or?
Yeah, I go to the gym on a Friday morning before work, and there's a guy there. He has his own gym, and he sets me a program and changes the program every 6 weeks, and does a lot of running specific stuff like single leg squats and plenty of core work and all that.
Yeah, Bulgarian split squats.
Yeah, they're a favourite of his.
Yeah, they are, because they should be a favourite for everyone. If there's only one thing you're going to do in a gym, you might as well do that. They're just so good for running.
Yeah.
And as you know, running is just a series of hops. Everything's on one leg, so I just think it's so important to isolate one leg when you're doing strength work, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's probably helped me quite a bit.
No, definitely keep doing those. When you go over to these majors, you turn them into a holiday, or is it just in and out and get back to work?
Yeah, turn it into a holiday. So both times went for
it's the best way to
2 weeks. My partner at the time we had a great time, both Tokyo and the US.
So Melbourne in October. How long are you going to continue? Is there a certain time you want to hit? Are you thinking, I'm going to be running marathons for the next 2 or 3 years? Are you not thinking too much about it, or what are you sort of thinking in the future?
I think I can eventually run under 220.
Okay, yep.
See how we go, but some people might laugh at that, but I think I can. So
yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, it was more just to see how you were thinking, and you're thinking, look, I'm just going to run Melbourne and then focus on other things, or no, that's good. You got that goal, definitely.
Yeah, it's always been almost always been the focus, the marathon. So
yep.
I think if I don't give that everything I've got, I'll end up regretting it. So
yep. Have you chatted? I mean, Dick's big on 10k fitness, and gets all his athletes. He believe if you fit at 10k, then all you have to do is adjust your training to run shorter distance or faster distances. And I assume to run a sub 220 marathon, you probably, whether you've had this discussion or looked into it yourself, you'd probably have to run a low 30 for 10k possibly. So it's like, okay, I've got to get quicker for 10k, and then I can run a sub 220 marathon. Is that sort of the way you're thinking, or?
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah, before I decided on, well, I haven't really decided on Melbourne, but before I was half decided on it, I was thinking either do that or try and work on the 5 and 10k speed, and then maybe do another marathon early next year or something. But then I kind of figured I've got the work in me, so I may as well, and I thought I had another minute or two at the Gold Coast, so I may as well have another crack now.
Yeah, no, it's definitely exactly right. I mean, when you're fit and the body's absorbing the training and you got no real niggles, I reckon it's smart, because sometimes you just, you never know what's around the corner in life, isn't it? So I think when you're moving well, you might as well have a crack for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm just having a look now. I'm just seeing what it says. So to run a 220 marathon, you've got to be able to run a 30:23:10. There you go.
That's about 50 seconds. So
Yeah. It's a bit of work. You got to run 5 in 14:37.
okay.
Yeah. So but it's just a bunch of numbers, but it's amazing how accurate those numbers can be because yeah, running does sort of transfer over. I can imagine most guys running 220 are probably running sub 30 on the track for sure. So
yeah,
I think it's fun. Well, I like myself to I want to run a certain time for a marathon to think about running faster over the 5 and 10. And a lot of people sort of struggle with that sort of concept, but it seems to work every time, and it sort of makes sense to me. But and I just think it makes training more fun rather than just focusing, okay, I've got to run so many Ks for 14, 16 weeks and that's it. You sort of think, okay, let's just get quicker the shorter stuff and that'll help me run faster over the marathon. For me, it just sort of it's more interesting, keeps training a little bit more fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
You're obviously moving pretty well leading into the goal. I see up there in March, Port Macquarie half marathon, picked up the win there, 1:10:44. You happy with that?
Yeah, I was quite happy with that. It was a flat course, but it wasn't exactly quick. I figured I was probably in about 68 mid to 69 shape, on a fast course. This course was like a multi-lap course, and there was quite a few sections where there was several tight turns. So I think I worked out I had eight turnaround points plus probably another 20 other right angle tight turns. So it didn't make for a very quick race, but it was also quite humid being Port Macquarie.
Yeah.
And it had plenty of rain. So
did you have anyone to run with, or you sort of out the front on your own, or?
No, I was out the front of my own that one.
Okay. You ran. I haven't got it here, but I remember seeing it when I was doing my research. Did you run a 1:10 in Canberra as well? And that was quite a while ago.
Yeah, that would have been 2017.
Yeah. Okay.
Finished third and a half that year.
So you'd love to see a 67, 68 against your name, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so. But the half is probably not really a priority because you use them as either training runs or just kind of lead up hit outs.
I've got I think the Aussies are on Sunshine Coast in August, aren't they? I think.
Yes.
Yeah, you wouldn't think about having a go on that as a prep for Melbourne.
Well, I did think about that, but then the applications closed on Wednesday, so
okay, right.
Left that a bit late. Wasn't really thinking about that with the marathon. Halves aren't exactly priority.
What's your favourite distance?
Yeah, marathon is the favourite distance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, you're a sicko.
Yeah.
They're so hard, aren't they? Just do you find them mentally draining as well? Like you're just mentally exhausted at the end as well as much as you are physically in a way.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because you don't really want to switch off during a marathon because you want to be trying to keep to a good pace.
Yeah.
So you don't want to switch off at all. So the mind's working just as hard as the body.
They really got that distance right, didn't they? I mean, if a marathon was 37k, we'd just be killing it. But it's amazing how tough that final 5k is. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was probably. I had a good last 5k actually. It was
okay.
But it was probably the around 25 to 35 was probably the worst I was feeling. I somehow got my second wind after the last sort of 5k and finished off pretty well actually.
They're just hard. They're hard. I get more nervous about running road marathons than I do any distance, whether it be an ultra or multi-sport or whatever it is. Just road marathons are just bloody hard, and for some reason we keep going back to them. But I think it's just because of that challenge, and yeah, you just need to have so many things go right on the day, and that's why it's so important to celebrate them when you do have a good day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Mick, that's a wrap, mate. Thanks for your time. All the best with your running in the future, mate. So, just hope that maybe Melbourne, you'll get that couple of minutes you're after, or the sub 220 in a few years to come, mate.
Thanks very much for having me, Aston.
Thank you very much, mate, and enjoy it. You going to do a Sunday long run this week, or are you still in the chill mode?
I might try and get out for an hour or so. Yeah, whatever I feel like, really. Yeah. That's the best part about the recovery. if you want to run, you run. If you don't,
Yeah, it is a
run,
good
run as
feeling,
far as you
mate.
can.
It is a good feeling when you have that option. You feel, nah, I just stay in bed. It's -6 outside. I don't look. You're probably the same when it's -6, but it's blue sky, no wind. Canberra is beautiful, but when it's been windy like it has been, like today, 40k southerly, straight off the snowy mountains. Yeah, it's a tough gig.
Yeah, I definitely felt that wind today. Wow.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah. I'm paddling these days, so yeah, definitely feel it on the water. Got the old chilblains on the fingers now. So
Oh
anyway,
yeah, that's right. I
yeah.
noticed you doing a fair bit of that.
Yeah, exactly. Something different, mate. Keep myself busy. But yeah, all good. All right, thanks heaps for your time, mate.
No worries.
All right, mate, and I'll see you around. Actually, I'll see you at Park Run in the morning.
Oh yeah, cool. See you then.
All
Thanks
right,
for
Mick. See you, mate.
See ya.
Okay, bye.